Welcome back, Royal Watchers. If you thought part 1 of our Diana versus Kate deep dive was revealing, you haven't seen anything yet. We covered the surface level comparisons, the fashion, the scandals, the fairy tale entrances. But today we're going where the real story lives. If you missed the fashion face-offs, motherhood methods, and that legendary revenge dress moment, because here's what nobody talks about. How did two women from completely different educational backgrounds end up shaping the monarchy in ways that are still playing out today? How does Kate's billion-dollar economic impact compare to Diana's earth-shattering cultural revolution? And most importantly, how did Kate learn from Diana's mistakes to become what experts are calling the monarchy's greatest asset? The education equation. Let's start with something that fundamentally shaped who these women became, their education. Diana Spencer, fresh out of finishing school at just 19, with no university education, thrust into the most scrutinized role on earth. She was working in a kindergarten, teaching children finger painting and nursery rhymes. Sweet? Absolutely. Prepared for constitutional monarchy? Not so much. Diana's education was typical for aristocratic girls of her era. West Heath School, a brief stint at a Swiss finishing school, and then that was it. She left school at 16 with no formal qualifications. Her higher education was real life, and it was brutal. Now enter Kate Middleton in the 21st century. This woman came prepared. St. Andrew's Prep School, then the prestigious Marlborough College, where she captained the field hockey team and excelled academically. But here's the kicker. She then spent 4 years at the University of St. Andrews studying art history, 4 years of critical thinking, analysis, and intellectual development. Did you know Kate is actually the most well-educated consort to a Prince of Wales in British history? While Diana was learning royal protocol through trial and very public error, Kate was writing papers on Renaissance art and developing the analytical skills she later used to navigate royal life. The most telling difference? When Diana graduated from finishing school, she moved back home with her parents. When Kate graduated from university, she had spent a year living with Prince William as housemates, learning his personality, his pressures, his world. She knew exactly what she was signing up for. Diana often said she felt like she was learning everything from scratch. Kate, she'd been doing her homework for 8 years before she ever walked down that aisle. But here's what's absolutely fascinating. Their different educational approaches shaped their entire royal philosophies. Diana's lack of formal education made her more intuitive, more emotionally driven. She relied on instinct and heart. Kate's university training taught her research, analysis, and strategic thinking. She approaches royal duties like a well-prepared student who studied every angle. The irony? Diana's disadvantage became her greatest strength, her authenticity and emotional intelligence. Kate's advantage became her strategic superpower, her ability to plan, prepare, and execute flawlessly. The economic empresses, because both women became economic powerhouses, but in completely different ways. Diana created what we now recognize as the first royal influence economy. When she wore something, it sold out. When she championed a cause, donations flooded in. But Diana's economic impact was largely unintentional. She was just being herself, and the world couldn't get enough. Kate, however, has turned royal influence into an art form. The Kate effect now generates an estimated $1 billion annually for the British fashion industry. Let me put that in perspective. That's more than some countries' entire GDP. Here's what's absolutely brilliant about Kate's approach. She's democratized royal fashion. She mixes $3,000 designer pieces with $50 Zara finds, making everything accessible while still supporting British designers. When Kate wears a high street brand, their website crashes within minutes. When she wore that Issa engagement dress, the company literally couldn't handle the demand and eventually closed because they couldn't scale fast enough. Kate has become so powerful that she's actually frustrated by the focus on her fashion over her causes. In 2025, she tried to get Kensington Palace to stop identifying her outfits, saying she wanted focus on substance over style. The backlash was immediate. Fashion experts pointed out that the Kate effect supports thousands of jobs and promotes British creativity globally. Diana's economic impact was emotional. She made people feel. Kate's economic impact is systematic. She makes brands succeed. Both approaches changed how we think about royal influence, but Kate has turned it into a sustainable business model. Just this year, when Kate wore a 1,850-pound Susanna London dress, it sold out in 24 hours. Designer Jennifer Chamandi says the impact is immediate and global, especially in America. That's the Kate effect in action: precision, predictability, and profit. But let's dig deeper into the economics, because this gets absolutely mind-blowing. Kate's influence extends beyond fashion into what economists call royal tourism. Brand finance research shows Kate is the most powerful royal fashion influencer, with pieces in her wardrobe increasing desirability among 38% of American shoppers. That's not just British influence, that's global economic diplomacy through fashion. The ripple effect is staggering. When Kate wears something from an independent designer, it's often life-changing for small businesses. Epinine London saw dramatic increases in orders after Kate wore their designs. Founder Jet Schenkman called it transformative, highlighting the power of royal patronage for emerging businesses. Kate has turned this into sustainable support for British creativity. She frequently rewears outfits, something that would have been scandalous in Diana's era, showing that sustainability and royal glamour can coexist. When she rewears pieces, it sends a message about responsible consumption while still generating ongoing interest in the brands. Diana's economic impact was more about cultural export. She made British style globally aspirational, but the benefits were scattered. Kate has systematized this into targeted economic support for British fashion, from high-end designers to accessible brands. Crisis management masters. Let's talk about how these two women handled crisis, because this reveals everything about their different approaches to royal life. Diana's crisis management was, well, let's call it explosive authenticity. When her marriage fell apart, she didn't suffer in silence. She gave that legendary panorama interview, dropped truth bombs about Charles's affair, and basically nuked royal protocol from orbit. Was it effective? Absolute. Was it sustainable? Definitely not. Diana's approach to crisis was emotional warfare. She used her pain as a weapon, and it was devastating. There were 3 of us in this marriage. Boom. Career ended. Royal family in chaos. But Diana won the public narrative completely. Kate's approach is the exact opposite. Edward White, author of Diana World, explains that Kate has learned from Diana's mistakes by giving the media nothing. Instead of fighting the system, Kate works within it. Take the 2024 photo editing controversy, Kate's biggest scandal. While recovering from surgery and dealing with cancer, she tried to make a nice family photo look better. The internet acted like she'd forged state documents, but Kate's response? A simple apology, transparency about her health, and she moved on. No drama, no explosive interviews, just grace under pressure. Royal expert Hilary Fordwich points out that Kate had far greater preparation and resilience than Princess Diana due to entering the monarchy as an adult, well aware of the institution's demands and with years of support from Prince William. But here's the most telling difference. When Diana faced crisis, she often felt isolated and fought alone. When Kate faces challenges, she has William as her partner, her family's support, and the palace machinery working with her rather than against her. Diana's crisis management was revolutionary but destructive. Kate's is evolutionary and protective. Diana broke the system to make her point. Kate fixes the system to make it better. But here's where Kate's strategic brilliance really shows. She's mastered the art of controlled vulnerability. When she announced her cancer diagnosis in 2024, she did it on her terms, with her timing, in her words. Compare that to how Diana's struggles with eating disorders and mental health were exposed through media pressure and public speculation. Kate learned that transparency can be powerful when it's strategic rather than reactive. Her cancer announcement wasn't just about health. It was about showing the public that royals are human while maintaining dignity and privacy. She controlled the narrative rather than letting it control her. The phone hacking scandal reveals another crucial difference. Between 2005 and 2006, Kate's phone was reportedly hacked 155 times by News of the World during their dating years. But unlike Diana, who often felt compelled to respond to every story, Kate and William took legal action quietly and systematically. They learned from Diana's experience that you can't win a war with the tabloids by fighting in public. Even their approach to protecting their children shows this strategic evolution. Diana wanted William and Harry to understand the real world, but sometimes that meant exposing them to situations that were overwhelming. Kate gives George, Charlotte, and Louis normal experiences, but within carefully controlled boundaries. They attend regular schools and do normal activities, but always with security and privacy protections that Diana couldn't access. The modernization movement. This might be the most fascinating comparison yet. How each woman modernized the monarchy for their era. Diana's modernization was radical and immediate. Royal historian Christopher Warwick explained, that while the monarchy started becoming more modern in the 80s under the Queen's guidance, Diana did a great deal to hasten that. Because Diana was a different kind of royal person, she broke the mold. Diana made the monarchy human. She hugged AIDS patients, walked through minefields, sat on patients' hospital beds. She helped modernize the monarchy by making it more personal, changing the way the royal family related to people. Before Diana, royals kept their distance. After Diana, touching and emotional connection became part of the job description. Her legacy lives on in everything from Windsor's more accessible approach to the public, to William and Harry's charity work, to virtually everything Kate does. Diana didn't just modernize the monarchy, she emotionally revolutionized it. Kate's modernization is more strategic and sustainable. She's creating what experts call a millennial monarchy, using digital presence as an effective communication tool, making the royal family more relatable to younger generations while respecting tradition. Kate balances royal duties while raising her children with a sense of normalcy. Her practical approach respects tradition, but pushes to modernize the monarchy with a service-first mindset, true to the spirit of their millennial generation. The difference? Diana's modernization was reactive. She responded to an outdated system by breaking its rules. Kate's modernization is proactive. She's building a sustainable model for 21st century monarchy. As King Charles navigates his health challenges, William and Kate have taken on increasingly prominent roles, demonstrating more active and people-focused leadership while working to modernize the monarchy's image. Diana made the monarchy feel human. Kate is making it functionally modern. Both were necessary, but they represent completely different generational approaches to institutional change. What's fascinating is how their modernization efforts reflected their generations. Diana was breaking barriers that had existed for centuries, showing emotion, challenging protocol, speaking directly to people's hearts. She was fighting for basic human recognition within an ancient institution. Kate's operating in a world Diana helped create, but she's solving different problems. How do you maintain royal mystique in the Instagram age? How do you balance accessibility with security? How do you raise royal children who understand both privilege and responsibility? Kate's digital strategy alone represents a masterclass in modern monarchy. Their social media presence is carefully curated, but feels authentic. They use technology to connect with causes, share behind-the-scenes moments, and control their own narrative in ways Diana never could. But perhaps most importantly, Kate has modernized the concept of royal partnership. Diana often felt isolated in her role, but Kate and William operate as a true team. They support each other's causes, share parenting duties publicly, and present a united front that shows marriage can be an asset to royal duty rather than a complication. The mental health revolution. This might be where Diana's legacy and Kate's strategy combine most powerfully, in revolutionizing how royals discuss mental health. Diana broke the ultimate royal taboo by speaking openly about her struggles with bulimia, depression, and self-harm. In the 1990s, this was absolutely unprecedented. Royals didn't discuss personal struggles, mental health was stigmatized, and eating disorders were barely understood. Diana's honesty was groundbreaking, but came at enormous personal cost. Fast forward to Kate's approach, systematic, strategic, and sustainable. Through the Heads Together campaign with William and Harry, Kate has transformed mental health from a royal scandal into a royal mission. Instead of sharing her personal struggles, she's created platforms for others to share theirs. Kate's genius is making mental health advocacy about service rather than confession. When she talks about her children's potential mental health needs, she's normalizing help-seeking behavior without oversharing personal details. She's taken Diana's raw honesty and refined it into strategic advocacy. The difference is profound. Diana's mental health revelations were reactive, responses to crisis and media pressure. Kate's mental health work is proactive, preventing crises and building support systems. But here's what's really brilliant. Kate often honors Diana's memory through this work. She wears Diana's jewelry to mental health events, uses Diana's favorite designers for related engagements, creating visual connections between Diana's courage and Kate's continued mission. The results speak for themselves. Mental health conversations in the UK have fundamentally changed. Young people seek help more readily, and the stigma around therapy and support has dramatically decreased. Diana started this conversation, Kate has institutionalized the solution. The strategic shift. Here's where the real masterclass happens. How Kate studied Diana's playbook and strategically avoided every single pitfall. Did you know Kate initially considered refusing the title Princess of Wales because she knew she'd inevitably be compared with Diana? According to royal biographer Robert Jobson, Kate found all such talk stressful and worried about living up to Diana's iconic status. But instead of running from the comparison, Kate embraced it strategically. Look at her recent fashion choices. She regularly channels Diana through Catherine Walker designs, the same designer Diana loved. At Trooping the Color 2025, Kate wore an aquamarine Catherine Walker dress that directly referenced Diana's 1992 look. But here's the genius part. She's not copying Diana. She's honoring her while creating her own identity. The age factor was crucial. Diana was barely 20 when she married Charles, while Kate was almost 30 when she married William, and that was deliberate from both sides. Kate understood that maturity and preparation were her greatest weapons. Media management shows the biggest strategic shift. Diana worked the media exactly the same way the media worked Diana, but Kate handles the press scrutiny really well by giving them nothing except carefully managed appearances. As author Edward White explains, Kate learned that the best way of dealing with scrutiny is by stepping through the hoops of shaking hands, cutting ribbons, and smiling, being dutiful and not being too big for your boots. Those are all the things that the monarchy is built on. The strategic shift is profound. Diana fought the system and often lost. Kate studied the system, learned its weaknesses, and built a better version. Diana was the revolution. Kate is the evolved solution. Kate even honors Diana in ways that strengthen her own position. Wearing Diana's jewelry, using Diana's designers, but always in service of her current role rather than living in the past. The strategic brilliance goes even deeper. Kate has mastered what royal experts call strategic nostalgia, referencing Diana when it serves her purposes while establishing her own distinct identity. At the recent VE Day commemorations, Kate wore Diana's Collingwood teardrop earrings with a polka dot dress similar to one Diana wore to Royal Ascot in 1988. The message was clear, honoring the past while serving the present. But perhaps Kate's most strategic move was learning from Diana's relationship with the Queen. Diana often felt she was fighting the establishment, but Kate cultivated a genuine relationship with Queen Elizabeth II. She became not just a daughter-in-law, but a trusted confidant. Royal sources say the Queen saw Kate as the jewel in the crown, someone who understood both tradition and necessity for change. This relationship gave Kate something Diana never had: institutional support for her modernization efforts. Instead of being seen as a disruptor, Kate became seen as an enhancer. She could push boundaries because she had the Queen's backing. The most telling example? When Kate wanted to focus more on early childhood development and less on ribbon-cutting ceremonies, the palace supported her initiative. When Diana wanted to champion AIDS patients and landmine victims, she often had to fight for permission. Kate's strategic approach earned her the freedom Diana had to demand. The diplomatic dynasties. Here's an angle most people miss: how Diana and Kate each redefined royal diplomacy for their eras. Diana's diplomatic impact was emotional and unplanned, but absolutely revolutionary. When she hugged that AIDS patient in 1987 without gloves, she didn't just change British attitudes, she influenced global policy. When she walked through that minefield in Angola in 1997, she wasn't just raising awareness, she was conducting unauthorized foreign policy that led to international treaties. Diana's diplomacy was the diplomacy of the heart. She bypassed official channels and spoke directly to human suffering. It was powerful but chaotic, effective but unpredictable. She changed how the world thought about landmines, AIDS, and humanitarian intervention, but often at the cost of official relationships. Kate's diplomatic approach is the evolution of Diana's revolution. She conducts what we might call soft power diplomacy, using fashion, culture, and carefully managed symbolism to advance British interests. When Kate and William toured Pakistan in 2019, every outfit was a diplomatic message. She wore Pakistani designers to honor local culture, British brands to promote UK fashion, and recreated some of Diana's iconic Pakistan looks to create emotional continuity. It was diplomacy through wardrobe, strategic, respectful, and incredibly effective. Kate's diplomatic reception appearances show this strategic evolution perfectly. From her stunning gowns to her choice of tiaras and jewelry, every element sends carefully crafted messages about Britain's relationships with visiting dignitaries. She's turned royal glamour into a form of statecraft. The difference is that Diana's diplomatic impact was often despite royal protocol, while Kate's diplomatic impact works within and enhances royal protocol. Diana fought the system to make her point. Kate uses the system to make multiple points simultaneously. But both women understood something crucial. In the modern world, royal women can be diplomatic assets as powerful as any ambassador. Diana proved it was possible. Kate proved it was sustainable. So here's the truth that part one only scratched the surface of. This was never really Diana versus Kate. This was Diana showing what was possible and Kate showing what was sustainable. Diana broke open a 1,000-year-old institution with raw emotion and authentic humanity. She paid the ultimate price, but she changed everything. Kate took that broken open system and rebuilt it with strategic brilliance, emotional intelligence, and genuine partnership. But the deeper story is even more remarkable. Diana gave us the blueprint for modern royal humanity. Kate gave us the architecture for modern royal longevity. Diana showed us what the monarchy could feel like. Kate is showing us what it can actually become. Think about everything we've uncovered today. Diana's intuitive approach versus Kate's strategic preparation. Diana's revolutionary economic impact versus Kate's systematic billion-dollar influence. Diana's explosive crisis management versus Kate's controlled transparency. Diana's emotional modernization versus Kate's functional evolution. Diana's pioneering mental health advocacy versus Kate's institutionalized mental health mission. Diana's chaotic diplomacy versus Kate's strategic statecraft. Every single comparison shows the same pattern. Diana broke the barriers. Kate built the solutions. The numbers tell the story. Kate is described as the monarchy's greatest asset and the jewel in the crown. She's emerged as the most popular member of the royal family and one who wields great influence. But these achievements stand on the foundation Diana laid with her courage and sacrifice. Here's what's absolutely beautiful. Kate's success doesn't diminish Diana's legacy, it fulfills it. Every strategic move Kate makes, every boundary she carefully pushes, every tradition she thoughtfully modernizes, carries forward Diana's vision of a more human, more relevant monarchy. The royal revolution isn't over. It's just evolved from explosive change to strategic transformation. Diana's revolution made change possible. Kate's evolution is making that change permanent. And honestly, watching Kate honor Diana while building her own legacy might be the most beautiful tribute to Diana's memory that anyone could ever give. Because the greatest honor to a revolutionary isn't just remembering their courage, it's making their impossible dreams into sustainable reality. What do you think? Are you Team Diana's revolution or Team Kate's evolution? Or maybe you're realizing, like I am, that we needed both to get the monarchy we have today. Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to watch part 1 if you missed our deep dive into their fashion battles and motherhood methods.